Welcome back to Game Day, folks. I'm Dan.
I'm Mike.
I'm Brett.
I'm Hayden.
And who really gives a shit? You're here for lacrosse. So today we're talking to Richmond midfielder Gavin Creo. After his go-ahead goal in the final minutes against Cornell, the Spiders are at the top of the rankings for the first time ever. Our guest picker today is Zach Gettys, Outlaws midfielder, currently competing in the PLL Champ Series. Lots to get to, but first, the 80-second shot clock.
Princeton goes 2-0 in their ACC doubleheader weekend, beating Cuse 11-7 and UNC 11-9. Craddock was a brick wall, 39 saves in the two contests.
Before their loss to Princeton on Sunday, UNC beat Pennsylvania 11-9 in Philly. Petromala had 5 goals and 7 total on the weekend.
After beating the assault charges for his actions at the end of the Princeton game, Billy Dwan scored a whirling dervish wraparound in the final seconds to send it into overtime against Penn. Cuse would win 9-8 in overtime. Michael Leo put the nail in the coffin.
Ever seen Maryland run a zone? Neither have I. But when you're playing Notre Dame, it might be your only shot. Irish 11, Terps 8.
Utah beat Iona 32.
The Buckeyes are 6-0. They beat the Georgetown Swamp Dogs Saturday 10-9.
The Richmond of Richmond just got richer Saturday against Cornell, down 3 in the second half. The Spiders scored 5 of the last 6. Gavin Creo buried the game winner with a minute left, 8-7 final. Richmond is now Quint's #1 team in the land.
The Doyle Smith Cup was a doozy, down 7 goals in the second half on the road at Virginia. Hopkins stormed back to win 14-13. Chavette scored 6. Do yourself a favor. Go watch the highlights. Thank you for coming on. It's an awesome opportunity. What's been in the media is just, there's a lot of talk about Richmond. And to quote Nick Saban, he calls it poison. And he, talks about how bad it is for the players to see all this publicity. I mean, I hope you're avoiding it, but everyone's talking about Richmond right now. I went to work the other day and I said to a coworker, how about the Spiders? And they didn't really understand what I was talking about. But I think everyone in our world, our universe knows that you guys are crushing it now. Just from your perspective, Gavin, does it feel like you guys are kind of riding this high, or is there a standard, and do you feel like you're playing at the new Richmond standard?
Yeah, no, I think there's absolutely a standard that's been set since, the guys way before me have set, and of course this program's continued to grow. I think I was here for, my freshman year, we had an amazing team, no doubt, but, we didn't perform very well, and I definitely got to see the side of the media and Richmond in general where, maybe we weren't even cracking that top 20 I was here for last year, obviously, where we started to make a lot of noise in those kind of rankings. And I'm here now and we're, pretty close to the top. And so I think it's important that for us, absolutely, our logic remains consistent, our entire philosophy. We didn't talk about it back then when we weren't really considered for the top 20. And it's important to not talk about it now. It's at the end of the day, it's how you go out on Saturday, and it's how you execute. There's no doubt about that. And, it is noise. We, of course, you got to appreciate all the media outlets and everything they do for the game and whatnot. It's at the end of the day, it's absolutely all noise. That's what it is. And I think every guy on the team in the past years has done a great job of understanding that. And I think it's absolutely vital that, especially me as an upperclassman and the seniors, we all make sure that nail is still, hit on the head, and that our younger guys understand that as well.
Love it. Great answer. I'm not trying to blow your head up. We want to grow the sport, and we want to talk about it and get more people talking about it. That's our goal. It's not to, give you any poison. We don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
You guys are coming off I'll call it historic because I think it is. You just beat the defending national champions at their place at Cornell. You scored the eventual game winner with a couple minutes left. Just tell us about that experience, man. That had to be awesome. Mike and I have played at that field before. It's a really tough place to play. You're going to a different environment than Richmond, Virginia. You're going to Ithaca, New York. It's a lot colder. You're going against the defending national champs who had your number a couple times last year. Just tell us about that game because that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a fun one. Well, I wouldn't say it was too fun during the game just because offensively we weren't clicking as very well. I got to give all the credit to my defensive guys because they really held down the fort for us. They played phenomenal. I mean, they typically do, but they really, Cornell's, they got a great offense. There's no, that's no mystery. And it's pretty high powered. They got some big names and I think the way our defense held those guys, I mean, 7 goals is really not a lot. And I guess, I got to give credit to defensively to Cornell as well. They played a good game. The goalie played great in net. I think I didn't even realize, but I guess we had 50 shots that game. I will say, watching film back with coach and the team wasn't exactly, it was more growth than, of course, than looking back on it and gloating. Of course, that's what you have to do. You have to look at every game, damn near like it's a loss, especially a game like this. But you got to look for opportunities to grow. But I mean, the game was clearly back and forth ish. I know we didn't take that lead until the end, but it was definitely a defensive battle. It took a little bit to get our flow going offensively, but I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, we were able to hanker down a bit. Absolutely, like I said, I keep going back to that defense because I got to give my guys some credit. But yeah, we were able to figure it out at the end of the day. And
no, that was definitely
amazing.
Great win, and it must have been a little bit of a revenge game for you guys. But your defense is great, but also watching your offense, like what I think is kind of abnormal for a team, that's ranked 1 or 2 in the country, is the fact that you guys don't really have like one superstar, right? I'd say like Aiden O'Neal is kind of like the biggest name on a national stage, but even so, like you guys are so well rounded, and you have 6 guys on the field that can play and can beat their guy and score. And I think that's like just a testament to like, solid programs, having that depth and having the guys be able to, operate on their own, but also operate all together. You want to just talk a little bit about your offense and, I don't want to call it a no-name offense because you have studs and you guys are all studs, but to a degree, like you really are a team-oriented offense. It isn't a 1 or 2 man show. It's really 6 guys on the field working together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I completely understand what you're saying. We got, I'll say, we got the guys, and I think
right.
we know that. And I think that's really important, whether that's talked about or whatever you want to say, like we know we got the guys, but yeah, Aiden's a stud. I mean, Lucas Littlejohn's one of the best inside finishers in the entire country, if not I think he's the best. He's my roommate. He's my boy. I'll hang on that 10 out of 10 times. And then, Jack Ricciardi's doing a great job on the lefty attack. He's unselfish, fluid within the offense, knows exactly what to do on that lefty wing. And then as a midi line, I think that every week, I think teams will probably have trouble choosing who to pull. I would like to think that teams have trouble doing that. I'm not, I'm really not trying to sound cocky in any sort of way.
It looks like that though.
Yeah. I wouldn't know to cover. Shit.
You're the best team in the country, dude.
I appreciate you. Joe Sheridan, I'm glad he's getting some love now. I mean, the kid's, I think he's the best midi in the country. I really do. He's an absolute stud. He's been that way for a while. He's a specimen. The kid literally never gets tired. I got my own health problems sometimes, and this kid literally never gets winded. He's always the first one to go out for a rep. So unselfish. And then, my boy Dan Picard, definitely emerging as a fantastic player. I mean, he's one of the best athletes I've ever played with, quite frankly. And, all these guys are my boys, which makes it even better. And I think it's a lot of unselfishness that really goes into, how we play. And we do have 6 guys that, that can attack from any point of the field. And, whoever scores the goal and whoever passes to that guy, the other 4 guys are pumped for those guys, which is, you don't see that everywhere. Genuinely, right. You don't, you get the inside. I got the inside scoop, obviously. And I'm telling you, you don't get that everywhere. And it's definitely special.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an unselfish offense, especially when you're in our position, just watching you guys play. Like it really is a beautiful thing. One question for you, right? If you're selling a top recruit coming out of high school on Richmond, why do you go to Richmond, right? Because, there's so many great schools in the area. You got UVA, Duke, you got UNC, right? These perennial blue bloods who seem to get whoever they want. And Richmond is, you guys have been on the rise, it. I would like to think that in the coming years, like kids are going to say, wow, Richmond is a pretty good place to play college lacrosse. Coming from you, like how would you sell a recruit on Richmond?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is that you definitely got to get down here. our campus is beautiful. It's definitely a seller. And we got some pretty damn nice facilities. There's no doubt about that. Admittedly, I didn't know too much about Richmond coming into September 1st. I had a great conversation with Coach Shamati and a couple other of the coaches on the staff. And I was able to get down here, and I knew pretty much right then that this was my spot. So I will say one thing: if you can, and you should 100%, you got to get down here, because the coaching staff, the kids, obviously the facilities and the campus itself, and everything you learn about this place when you're here, I think it's a lot of things you not know, and it might get put on display now because of the success we're having. But yeah, I fell in love with the place. I committed within a week of getting down there. But I will say that, if you're a junior in high school, you're coming here, I think the family aspect, the culture aspect of it is definitely unique to any other spot. I guess, that's not exactly the flashiest thing you want to say, but it's the truth. Like I said, when I came down here, these kids treated me like I was one of their teammates. You're not going to get that from every kid. I mean, everyone's a genuinely good person. I think everyone on this team genuinely wants to see each other succeed. Sometimes even if it's at the expense of you getting a couple less minutes, but your mate to your left gets some, like, you're happy for him, and that's the culture we built here. I think, just from the standpoint of the kids and the character of the kids on this team, and it even goes back to their families now that I've experienced it for a couple of years. It's amazing to see, but it's a good spot.
Yeah.
It really is. I love it, and I couldn't be happier to have chosen it, and I couldn't be happier to be where I am right now.
It's a great pitch from a 5-star badass from Chaminade. Well said, brother. Michael, I'll pass it to you. Any questions for Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to blow some smoke up your coach's ass a little bit. There's hot seats. We kind of talked about it a little bit, and then there's Coach Shamati right now, who probably has a job for life at Richmond. Arguably one of the best coaches in the nation right now, if you ask some people. What makes him such a great coach, Gavin? Why are you guys just seemingly not shying away from any big opportunities and just performing at the level you guys are?
Yeah. Coach Shamati, absolutely have to give credit to Coach Richards too. He's been here since the beginning, but these guys are two guys who know how to build character. They know how to get it out of the guys who don't come in with it, and they know how to bring out the best in, the guys who, have something. But, I think it's absolutely the culture aspect. But sometimes one thing Coach Shamati said that stuck with me was, in my first 2 years, he would always kind of say, like, when I wasn't having like great days or great stretches of, couple days or even like weeks, he'd be like, he just knows, like, when guys have something and they're not given, not that they're not given it all, but they're not, they have something, but he's like, hey,
it's not like connecting,
right? He's like, hey, Gav, like, I need more from you. Like, I need more from you. You know what I mean? And like, it's hard to even describe what that more means, but he's someone who, and Coach Richards too, they just know when a guy has something in him and he's not giving that, all of that is just not there right now, Yep. So, and I think they're absolutely amazing at recruiting. There's no doubt about that. I think they get a lot of guys who don't have all the stars, but they fucking deserve, I shouldn't say that. They deserve stars.
You're good, man. You're good.
They deserve them,
Yeah.
Like, absolutely, they deserve them. Because
the coaching mentality you just talked about, getting the most out of the players. I feel like when you have somebody like that in that leadership position, it kind of ripples through the team. Do you think that's a reason why you guys kind of have that success, is when you see it demonstrated by an assistant coach, it kind of amplifies and starts to ripple through the team? Do you think that's sort of what's happening?
Absolutely. We're massive on senior leadership, and we have 4 captains, but our entire senior class absolutely leads our team. Our upperclassmen lead our team. I'm doing my best every day to kind of follow in those guys' footsteps and guys in the past that I've just loved being on a team with and saw the way they displayed leadership. And I was like, wow, like I want to be exactly like that dude one day. I think, so senior leadership is absolutely a massive aspect. It's absolutely that culture. I think we definitely do things, and it's just, little things where if I'm like, and it's a good thing when I say this, but if I told my buddy another school, they'd be like, you guys do what? Or you understand what I'm saying? And I can't think of a specific example right now, but whether it's something that's on the field or off the field, and I'm really thinking mostly off the field stuff. Yeah, I think that, and it can seem ridiculous or crazy at times in the moment, but when you look back on it, I think that's what makes us,
Yeah.
We used to, like, if there was like a, underclassman at SLU or something and we weren't getting enough out of him, sometimes we'd like ready ride to like scrimmages or early stuff. Like we put on all of his gear and like all of us would wear all of our gear and like drive him over and kind of motivate him a little bit, like get him in the mood, play some house tunes, like
there you go.
Whatever to kind of lift your guy,
Yeah.
You see somebody down, you're away from your family. It's another leadership thing. Sometimes there's just those little things like off the field that kind of got people motivated and made them feel seen.
That definitely makes me think of, another aspect of that senior leadership. I think sometimes there's division between teams or there's friend groups or stuff like that. But I think just coming in since my freshman year, the seniors did such a good job of like, if you observed our team, you would have no idea who's a freshman or who's a senior or who's a junior just by who's hanging out with who in the locker room, who's talking to who, you know what I mean? Whether that's outside or inside of the locker room. I think that, we got a tight bond that definitely adds on to that culture aspect, and it definitely correlates to the field. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Your out of season schedule. I think Mike kind of brought it up with when he was blowing smoke up Coach Shamati's ass. What you guys go through before you hit the A10 it's unlike any other program. I mean, you got the Maryland game. Is that Maryland game? Is that going to be rescheduled? Is that going to happen? Can we break some news right now?
I don't know what I should say, but
no, don't say anything, man.
No,
it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm sure it's in the works, but I'll say we're trying. I'm not sure what where it's at anymore.
You're good, man.
We've
good.
tried.
It's all right. It's all right.
We've tried.
Let's hope Maryland's trying too. Hey, if I'm Maryland, I don't know. I'm 1-3. I'm like, shoot, do we want to play these guys? I don't know. But I mean, besides them, you play Virginia, you play Cornell. Like you play Georgetown this week. You loaded up before conference play, and I feel like just from having, been in a mid-major conference and then playing those, you play some big teams like that really gets you ready, and it's a tough balance as a coach when you're trying to, build your at-large resume and you're also trying to grow as a team. And you look at a team like Ohio State and who they've played the first few games, like tomato can after tomato can, as Quint Kesnick called them. But you guys are going through the gauntlet. Like, what does this out of conference gauntlet do for you guys, in your opinion? Like when you play all these teams and then you get in conference, how does that prepare you?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that I think that whatever competition you can play, you should play them. I think that's been the philosophy. Coach Jack Moran back at Chaminade used to always say that. I think that's definitely consistent here. And these are legit teams. And at the end of the day, these type of teams that we play, teams of this caliber, the Virginias, the Cornells, and really every team on our schedule, I think that it prepares you. I mean, that's the easy way to answer it. But you need to simulate conference tournament. You need to simulate May. You need to simulate every situation you can so that when you are put in those situations, when you're put in the situation where you're playing in the quarterfinals at Hofstra or you're playing in UNC's sick barn and everyone's screaming at you and whatever it may be, that you're ready for it. And, I think there are absolutely simulations of those exact kind of moments,
Love that.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So you got Georgetown this weekend at home.
Yeah.
What's that atmosphere going to be like?
They got us my freshman year, and last year we got them. It ended up being a good game. I think we had them pretty good before we slipped up a little bit towards the end, but there's no doubt that they're a legit team. They're absolutely could be a contender, and absolutely have to treat every game, the same. There's no big games. You got to go in every day. We absolutely have to have a great week of practice. That's been a pretty consistent theme in our success, is the correlation of our practice to our weekend. And yeah, I think, we're excited. We're looking forward to this week and, looking to get another W. Absolutely.
So are we, brother. So are we. And just so you know, we'll wrap this up, but America is rooting for you. Like, we, specifically us, we want to see the mid-majors thrive. And honestly, Georgetown's another one of those teams. But to see a team that's not ACC, Big Ten, Ivy succeed, it fires up the average lacrosse fan. And we are as average as it gets. Maybe a little extreme by starting a podcast, but fired up to continue to watch you guys play, man. Specifically this weekend against Georgetown. Best of luck the rest of the way, Gavin. Thanks so much, man.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thanks,
Gavin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
All right.
See you, brother.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you to Gavin Creo for joining the show. That was awesome. Kid's a stud. Richmond's on fire. I mean, it's tough not to just blow smoke up his ass for 20 minutes. You can't just sit there and be like, you guys are amazing. We love you. You're going to win the national championship. Because,
And he was feeling that too, for sure.
Love to learn as much as I can about Richmond. And
It's great to hear from the actual players, We've had a lot of coaches, commentators, media people, but it's good to hear from the players, Like, you get a real sense. It kind of reminds me, like, Quint last week was talking about how, like, there's so many guys in our sport that are just so well-rounded, right? They're great athletes, they're great public speakers, they're great leaders, they're great teammates, they're just good people, and he's one of them. And, like, it's good to see that, at a program like Richmond, and I'm sure so many other programs, just having good dudes on the field who are great lacrosse players, love the game, love their teammates. It's refreshing to see, because you don't get that in other sports, you really don't.
It's also an ode to Chaminade, right? Great developer program. We know Chaminade guys as well, so just another great pipeline of good men, down Long Island.
Yeah.
That's a great point, because I bet the average fan right now is like, Richmond's sick, but they don't know a fucking single player on the team. Like, I bet you they don't even know who Gavin Creo is, or Hunter Smith, or Sheridan. Like, I bet you they don't even know who those players are. So I think it's great to highlight those people.
In their defense, I don't know much deeper than that. Like, I'm learning on the fly. We're lacrosse fans.
Mm-hmm.
I at least I am. You guys are analysts. Mike and Hayden are analysts. Brett, you and me are kind of figuring this thing out as we go.
I know Little John's got a hell of a name.
I wanted to see Little John come in.
In a great bounce shot.
Little John. Lucas Little Bouncer. Oh, that would have been fun to call him in and have him come in. We're going to catch up for just a minute, and then we'll get into our slate for week 5. We're going to have Zach Gettys on. He's our guest picker. Just going to recap for a minute. So we, the three of us, and a couple other buddies, went to a bachelor party in Austin, Texas this weekend. One of our good friends, Evan Marrow, is getting married. He created the first CLG logo. So you'll see our logo on Instagram. He created that logo. Great job. He has shares, I think, a few shares in CLG LLC. So he's just sitting back, hoping this thing skyrockets until he can buy an island somewhere with his future wife. But we went to Austin. We went to a NASCAR race. We went to an Eric Church concert. NASCAR, man, I'm sold.
Yeah, they do it right.
I'm sold.
They do it right. One of my favorite parts, aside from the actual race and just the production they put on, is the fanfare outside of the track. Like, they do it at, like, Memorial Day weekend. You can do, like, the fastest shot and stuff like that. But at this, like, the amount of merch tents for every single driver there, the amount of things to do. There was, like, a live seal there. Just, like, you could take, like, a photo shoot with a seal. It was, like, 90 degrees in Austin, Texas. I don't know how that thing was, like, legally allowed to be there. But, like, I don't know. It was a great production, and people loved it. Like, there's some diehard fans there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It was an impressive production, I'd say.
I've got 3 questions for you guys. Number 1, how loud was it actually? Never been. 2, how much did it actually, like, make, like, the stand shake when the cars go around? And 3, what does a diehard NASCAR fan look like in person?
Mike, I'll answer your first question about how loud it was. Like I had no idea. People say it's loud, but it's like they're just cars going by it. Like it's, it can't be that loud. We get to the stands and like we're surrounded by people. They have headphones like bigger than this. It's like the headphones you wear when you're on like your lawnmower, so you can't hear anything. And the guy sitting behind us is like, you guys been to a NASCAR race before? And we're like, no, this is our first time. He's like, oh, you have your ear protection? And we're like, no. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, you need it. And he had like earplugs in his pocket that he gave to us. They had like, I don't know, mine had like hair and like
he pulled it out of his pocket. The thing's got like boogers on it and like hair sticking out.
Just heard his wife. She's like, oh, Earl, that's gross. She's like pulling him
like
out
they might have been used before, but
she throws it in her mouth, washes it around. There you go, boy.
But like, so they do like an opening, slow lap, and they go by like 40 miles an hour or whatever, like not that fast, and it's loud, and we're like, oh, like we got to listen to one lap, like full go. They go by like it was brutally loud. It was like it like hurt your ears.
Yeah.
And then you realize that there's 95 more times that they go by you that fast, and it's like you can't do this all day. Like you're gonna get nauseous if you don't have ear protection. So it was loud.
Yeah.
It's also on the road track, Mike. So if it was an oval track, like we would probably be able to hear more sound as the cars went, but because the turns were kind of pulled away, we did have like a bit of a break for like 20 seconds.
Yeah. It was like a you were saying F1 track. It's like
a
bunch of turns, like it kind of disappears, not like a big oval. Coda.
Gotcha.
I'm wearing the hat right now. I never wear hats. I got the hat on.
Coda.
No, it was awesome. And to answer your question, what does the fan look like? Just a consummate American. I don't know how else to say it. Just a belt, shirt tucked in, whether that's a Denny Hamlin shirt or a frickin', just a
Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, a NASCAR hat. Just consummate Americans. Great people. So nice. I mean, they handed us earplugs. Like, that was the cool part. It was people cared. And I was relating it back to lacrosse because, of course, that night we talked about lacrosse at dinner and relating it to NASCAR, and like the missing piece of the lacrosse experience, going to a game and falling in love with it, is the pride that everyone there has and how much people care about what's going on. I think that exists in some atmospheres, specifically you go to a game at Syracuse, you're going to meet a lot of people who are diehards and savvy fans. As Quint said, they're smart. They know the game. You don't get that everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially at this time of year.
Yeah, like Mike, at the PLL, I'm sure you probably saw it. Like, there's a couple people in the stands, like, head to toe in, like, Redwoods gear. And, you're kind of like, I don't know if I'd wear that.
Yeah, what's wrong with that guy?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, right? He cares. But I think, like, when you go to a game, like, you kind of look at that guy and you're like, that's a lot of Redwood stuff. But at the NASCAR, like, these guys are head to toe in, like, number 12 gear. And it's like way more outrageous apparel that they're wearing, but they're prideful in it. Right? Yeah. Like they're wearing it on their sleeve,
And one really cool thing to kind of circle into that is, as soon as they talked like, hey, it's your first race, they're like, oh, we do this thing by ourselves. Like we do like this pick 'em where we pick like 4 or 5 drivers every race. We have our own league with our friends. Like they immediately gave us something to do. Right, so it's like we hope when we go to a game, we're like, hey, we have this app, like here's 10 games, like pick them, play with your friends. Like they literally created that for us, no stress. Like here, go play this.
Yeah.
And like that just shows you, like it's easy, get into it. Like it's fun, we care. He was all fired up because he won at the end, or his daughter or whatever.
Reddick, he wants to grow the game. Mike, more importantly, what more people listening to this podcast probably care about is your experience at the Champ Series this past weekend. You were there supporting Lance Madonna. You got his jersey on. For those our listening audience, Mike is wearing a Denver Outlaws Champ Series Lance Madonna jersey. Paint a picture. Talk about the event, because I think everyone is very interested what it's like there.
I'm going to start off with saying I just got this jersey yesterday. It's pretty sweet. They ship these puppies from Guatemala. That's sus. A little suspect. Yeah. I got some tracking notifications coming from Guatemala. Okay. But it was cool to see in person. This facility, the St. James in Springfield, Virginia, is insane. Like, the field itself's pretty cool. Like, there's probably a little over 1,000 people both days, Friday and Saturday, at the games, which felt like pretty packed in that little area. But that's just a tiny subsect of this building. Like, there were 2 ice hockey rinks. There was a pool that was bigger than an Olympic-sized swimming pool. There was a water park There was a spa. There was a restaurant. There was a fucking massive gym. There's a academy there. There's like a school, basketball courts, rock climbing, arcade, escape rooms. I mean, I'm
Quit
not even
digging.
like this.
Quit digging. I'm sold.
This place, massive, like really cool facility. The game
awesome.
itself, I think the theatrics are like pretty cool. They do go with the lights and the music and whatnot. Make it feel very professional. A lot of kids. Gets a little loud, mainly from the kids. And then, there's people like my age and then parents of the kids. That was kind of the fan base.
Yep.
But, like cool, like, sell jerseys. There was a little, like mini little box rink in the corner. So there's kids playing mini lax, which I would have been the whole time if I were a kid. Booze, food, you name it. Pretty cool atmosphere.
How was Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not sold on sixes yet. I'm just not.
Okay. I think we disagree there, but I'll let you finish.
We do. I'm a traditionalist, and I do think there is a time where I'll grow into it. I'm not ready yet. Still too fast for me, and just so much, especially offensively. It's just one-on-one ball. It's just dodge and go, dodge, turnover, other way, dodge, other way. It's just like basketball to me. So I'll come around to it, especially when it gets to the Olympics. But right now, I need some time.
What would you change if you could be Paul Rabel and touch the rules? What would you do to make it more enjoyable?
I just think there needs to be more incentive for the offense to actually have like a possession.
So longer shot clock.
Longer shot clock. I mean, maybe it's not an automatic if you miss the net, it's going the other way. Like you chase your shot, you have a set. Like it's literally just like get the ball, dodge, go, back, forth. Like it's really back and forth, which for like somebody who's not like us probably finds it very interesting. But it's too much for me. It's like you can't even get into the game. It's just so fast. I can't even get into it. I can't even like all.
That's quick. I'll let you guys ask questions, but the one rule that I would make the shot clock a little bit longer for people like yourself. Mm-hmm. What I would also do is you don't need that much room behind the net. Because if you want to do the traditional chase for a shot that goes off the back of the end line, that's fine, but it takes 15 seconds and I would, oh my gosh, if that was the rule, I was on offense, I would take 20 seconds to go pick up the ball on the end line. I would milk that, does the line have to be that far back?
It's funny you say that because multiple of us watching said the end line should just be where the goal line is. There shouldn't even be behind the goal. In the format that they have, there should not even be. There's no reason to have space behind the net. Nobody goes back there. Nobody dodges back there. It just takes time to get the ball. If you miss the net, it's going the other way. Yeah. There's no reason that there should be space behind the net.
We're not hating. Also, for those of you who are like, "Oh, Sixers haters," here we go. Like yeah, exactly. You got to be critical. You got to critique the product. That makes it better.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was perfect, as I already did. There were some pros and there were some cons. I told you a lot of the cons, but there were some pros. It was fast. Like it was like you're not going to get bored. That's for damn sure. I mean, it's just back and forth. You got to pay attention. You're going to miss something. There's a lot of talent on the field. Like I think there needs to be more spots just because there's so many talented players who aren't even really getting a shot. And one thing I learned too was, I guess this Champ Series is really used for like players trying out. If you go there, there's not a lot of players that are on the team in the summer that play in this league. There's a few, but there's a lot of players that they bring up from the player pool and test them out. And there's one guy that sits on each team every night who isn't actually playing, and they rotate them. It's basically like one big tryout.
Yeah, it's interesting because you miss a lot of the NLL guys, and then like you said, it's an opportunity for guys who aren't on teams to get a look. So I don't know. You wonder if like the biggest names in the sport were playing, right? Say we had an Outlaws versus Redwoods game, which just happened, and you had Brennan O'Neill, and you had the Kavanaughs, and you had some of these other guys who are the face of the league in the summer. Like, would it be any more interesting? I don't know. I personally enjoy the fast-paced nature of the game, and I think that's like, the design behind it. I think it makes it a little more, like open to newer programs or newer countries playing. I think that's the whole, initiative behind it with the Olympics. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think It's a new thing, and it takes a while for people to adapt to it.
I'll give you this too. If you gave them some time to practice as a team and draw up some plays and some systems, it probably would be better. These guys literally fly out Wednesday. I think they have one practice, they scrimmage, and they play. That's it. These guys have never played together. Most of them are new. If you have the best players in the world who practice for a month or whatever months prior and have a whole entire system and offense and defensive schemes, it's probably going to be a better product. If you remember what Brett Makar said, that since they extended the season, right, there's going to be a lot of guys too that get more opportunities. This is a real tryout now, because there's going to be guys that are drafted that are still going to be playing in the playoffs, conference championships, playoffs before they can even go on the team. So guys like Lance Madonna, guys like Ryan Cohen from Michigan on his team, these guys have an opportunity to crack a PLL roster. And like you said, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talented players out there that would thrive in the league.
Yep.
So
and I'm a Paul Rabel fan. I won't speak for all you guys. I'm a PLL fan. I'm a Paul Rabel fan. I think the worst part about the PLL, in our opinion, at the beginning of the season is the product. They're not ready to play lacrosse games. They're not ready for a 50-second shot clock. There's failed clears. There's just sloppy play. You watch as a true fan, and you see it right away, and it kind of gives men's leagues vibes. And I'm wondering if the getting more hungry, younger, competitive guys who want to play professionally in that mix is going to make the product better at the beginning of the year. That would be awesome. That would be a huge win for the league, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Make sure to follow all that stuff, Instagram. Go check out our merch. We're going to get into our next segment, the Hackees Hack of the Week.
This segment is the Hack of the Week, presented by Hackees. Hackees is a padded lacrosse stick you see behind us, designed for schools, designed for kids, designed for guys just chilling, hanging at the beach, just want to play some lax. They've been a great partner for us. They've sent us over some stuff. They have some new colorways coming with sticks as well. They also sent us that goalie stick over there that we've been using quite a bit. So really happy working with them. We started this segment to highlight a defensive player inside lacrosse network. All popular sources really just cover, the goal scorers. So we decided we were going to create a segment around the defense. And so every week we do a poll with the fans, the Instagram followers, and on Twitter. This week we had 3 nominees. One was Jack Stahl, defenseman for Princeton. The second was Julian Radicic, a long stick midfielder for the Stags of Fairfield. And the last one was the winner. This is Ryan Krodik. Not a surprise, but I'll hand it over to Mike to talk a bit about Ryan and some of these other guys if he wants to.
Yeah, so Ryan Krodik, we'll start with the hack of the week. I've already mentioned multiple times, we pick pretty consistently a defensive player on a winning team. This guy won 2 games this weekend, so there we go. That's a start. But 39 saves in 2 games in a week. 2-day span is insane. That is what he had. He had 25 saves against UNC with their win over UNC. That is the most saves by a Princeton goalie since 1985. Very, very historic program with some very impressive goalies. Not easy to do, especially against an ACC number 1 ranked team at the time, UNC. He was named Ivy League Defensive Player of the Week. He was Defensive Player of the Week for multiple magazines, Inside Lacrosse, USA Magazine, all that stuff. Who is Ryan Krodik? I don't know. He kind of got mentioned a little bit preseason. He had a really good year last year. Senior out of Rumson, New Jersey. Shout out Rumson, New Jersey. The Edler and Feinberg families played club lacrosse with those guys from Rumson, Fairhaven. 2025, this guy had honorable mention All-American, Ivy League Goalie of the Year, first team All-Ivy League, and also had 241 saves that year, second best that season, and second best at Princeton behind Bill Cronin from 1973 for the amount of saves he had last year. So this guy's a stud. Everyone talks about Princeton's offense. Like Brett said, every other media source is going to cover offense. I can tell you what, you need a good goalie and a good defense to win a national championship. So if this kid keeps playing the way he does and Princeton's offense keeps lighting up the scoreboard, they're going to be doing great. Shout out to another defensive player on Princeton, Jack Stahl, who was in the voting this week. held Joey Spallina to 0 points. That's 0 goals, 0 assists, which I don't know if we have a quick stat guy, but I don't think that's ever happened in his career. Joey Spallina. I would bet my money that that's the case. Not easy to do. Even if Spallina isn't dodging great, he's going to get assists. He's going to find ways to get goals. I mean, this is kind of shocking to me. So Jack Stahl, cover guy from Princeton, that's a name to look out for. I'm pretty sure he had a great game against Owen Duffy as well when they played UNC. So stud. Congrats to Princeton, 2 Princeton guys, but mainly Ryan Croddick. Congrats. Hack of the week.
Yeah. Congrats. Way to go, Croddick. 39 saves in the weekend, 2 wins for Princeton. Great weekend for them. They're
last pointless game from Joey Spallina per ChatGPT is Denver in the 2024 NCAA tournament.
Wow. And the stats we got for Spallina this week were from Inside the Cross. So if they're 0 and 0 and it was something else, then shame, Inside the Cross. Shame. All right, next segment. Let's get into our interview with Zach Gettys and then our CLG Pick Em powered by ECD for Week 5. Zach, thanks so much for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to join. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Been following the content, so you guys are doing some awesome stuff. So pumped to be on.
The few, the proud, the CLG faithful. Thanks for being a part of it, man. We appreciate it. It's a great time to be a lacrosse fan right now, specifically because of obviously the college game is off and running, but also what you guys are doing in the Champ Series with the PLL. So I'm curious, between weeks, because you're kind of going there on the weekends, then you're going home. Maybe you're local to DC. I actually don't know where you're located, but like, what's it like kind of between weekends, between games for you guys?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, we're used to this from the PLL, right? You kind of go play your game, come back home, and then go back for the next week. And with the Sixes and the Champ Series, this is the first time they've done this. So I think it's, the PLL's kind of trying it out, figuring out what works best for the Champ Series in general. And I was down in DC. I live in Boston. I live in the Seaport here. So I'm back home for, a couple days. I'm going back tomorrow night before the game on Thursday. I think it's helpful for guys to go home, recover a little bit. Some people are staying down in DC. We'll see what sticks. I think this will probably happen again next year, but I'm not making the rules. I'm not calling the shots. So we'll see what happens, but certainly been good so far. So hopefully we can, come back on Thursday ready to go, feel fresh, and get after the chaos a little bit.
Love it. Love it. I didn't know you were in Boston. And if for those of you listening who aren't in Boston, Seaport is just extraordinary. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's the prettiest part of Boston. It's brand new, so you must be making bags from the PLL.
Yep, making bags from the PLL. Love the sport, but I don't know if I'd say all of that about it. I think I grew up in Winchester, Mass, outside the city. This wasn't here at all. It's all new. You guys know that, the guys are in Boston, but I miss the character of Southie, Back Bay. I think at some point I got to get out of here, but it's been great for the last couple of years here.
No, that's awesome. Some great spots we've certainly been to in that neck of the woods, and we'll have to come to go on the other side of the tracks.
Do you have a favorite bar? Like what's the local? Like they walk in like Geddes, what do you want, kid? It's been a while.
I don't have a rep yet like that, but Lucky's is a good spot in the Seaport. Dive bar, you guys have definitely been, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
it's a good
great
spot. Underrated burger too. One of the best burgers in Boston, in my opinion. People never get food there, but try the burger. It's good.
That's Good to know. So typically from a speakeasy, you're not going to order food. You kind of just squint your eyes and hope nothing bad happens in a dark basement of a bar. But
you ever spend any time in Moxie's? That's we're somewhat regulars. I don't know.
Okay,
we're almost in that category.
I live right across the street, so yeah, I'm there all the time. Probably.
He's rich.
Oh, all right. Maybe you could buy some drinks sometime.
If we're so lucky. All right, man. Lots to talk about. We got a lot to cover, so we're eventually going to get to the slate. You're a guest picker this week, so we'll go through 10 games together. You got 4 of them, so you'll give your picks, the outright winner, and picks against the spread as well. But before we do that, I do want to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about Champ Series, what you're playing in right now. Kind of a big question, but can you just sum up the experience for you as a player? Like, what's it like competing in this? How's it different from the summer play and normal play? Mike was there this weekend. I'm sure he's got questions for you. He was there watching you. But I think on the outside, people who aren't local to DC, fans specifically, we're so interested in what's going on there. If you guys are invested, if you guys love it, and also, Mike, we're talking about the fan experience for like 10 minutes. Like, what's it like watching? So, long way of asking, but how's the Champ Series? How do you like it?
It's been great so far. I mean, Mike, you saw it down there. The St. James is an incredible facility. It's insane. Like, there's so much shit happening there. It's insane. There's, like a school, I guess, that's based out of the St. James. They have an academy there. I don't even think the kids go to class. They just work out and play sports all day, which I'd sign up for that any day of the week. And then, for the players, it's definitely different. It's kind of like its own little mini camp, honestly. And you're going back and forth from the hotel. You're spending hours at the St. James, playing a ton of lacrosse, which is awesome. And I think for the fans, it's awesome too, because they're able to be, right on top of the players, right in the mix with them after the games. You walk off the field, you're all walking around the St. James. You have kids running around with their parents and everything. So it's been really cool. Ton of lax though. I think guys got pretty gassed by the end of the week, and having a break in between is really nice to have a few days to recover and then get back there and have Thursday and then, hopefully Saturday, Sunday and wrap it up. But it's been a ton of fun and super fast paced, a ton of running around. And, I think everyone that's been down there has really enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's cool. I was going to ask, you played back to back and, you sometimes do that in the PLL season. How much of a toll does it take on your body? Because it is like up and down, but it, at some degree it doesn't seem as physical. Like, what's the difference in terms of how you feel after a game of sixes versus, normal PLL game?
Yeah, I mean, I compare sixes to like your typical pickup basketball game, right? It's just like you get gassed after those first couple up and downs. It's just natural. Like, there's no possible way really other than playing the game to get in shape for it. And so after that first game, you're like, wow, that was way more taxing than I thought it was going to be. And then to flip around and play again, you just have to like do everything you can over those, 18 hours or whatever it is to recover. And, I think for a PLL game, you played so many normal lacrosse games that you can kind of prepare going into that beforehand, right, exactly what to expect. But for a lot of these guys in sixes, like, you've never done it before, so you have no idea what you're stepping into. So it's a bit tougher. But I think the other thing is we picked up a lot of guys kind of off the streets who haven't played in the PLL before, and they have to battle that too, having no experience, really in the professional game. We have walkthroughs and practices the night before and a walkthrough right before the game, and it's a lot. And not having the experience of doing that before and then stepping into it is tough. So, I think us in particular, we have a bunch of guys who, are doing this for the first time. So we learned from it last week. We're gonna adjust this week hopefully, and if it all goes to plan, we'll have a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, and hopefully we'll be better prepared for that this time around.
Love it.
Yeah.
Is there like a moment, or because you're playing a different sport? Like, it's lacrosse obviously, but it's a lot different. You got to get used to things that you haven't, like, you score a goal. First thing you want to do is, fist bump or, do something crazy. But you can't do that. You got to go back and play defense. Is there a moment or something that happened where you're like, whoa, this is different?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because, like, there was one play in the first game and I caught a pass on the crease. I'm a D-midi, so I never am put in that position. And I scored on the crease and I turned around and I was catching myself about to celebrate. And all my teammates were giving me some slack on it because they're like, we looked at you, you almost fist bumped, and then you're like, oh, I got to get back on defense right now. So it's stuff like that you're just not used to at all. And you just kind of, in the moment, think to yourself, okay, score, get back on defense as fast as possible. The whole game is about getting back on D, preventing transition. So that makes a huge difference out there when you're kind of, not used to it. And then you got to adjust and just, do your best to remember, hey, this game's ongoing. The goalie's picking it up and trying to get it out of there and clear it as fast as possible. So you got to bust your ass back there and, make a stop on defense.
You just got to be headed back to the hole. You score, you turn around, you fist bump on the way, back on D.
Yeah. We can learn
Skull boys.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from basketball celebrations too.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to figure out how to celly, right? We got to fit that in there in some capacity. I don't know. It's an adjustment to the Sixers game. We got to figure that out. I'll put that on
Yeah.
you guys to figure out the.
Still, yeah, we can reenact some in the backyard.
Play with our hackies and run score a goal, then run back and just work on
Think about some handshakes.
Yeah, something.
Zach, it's funny you mentioned that, like, people like adjusting to it, because I even noticed, like, the refs. There were some calls where, like, they didn't know what to call, like they realized like they were doing the wrong thing, because it's new for them too, right? Like they're going from college ball that they're reffing or NL, whatever they're reffing, high school, and then they're going to that format. And I saw a few times like Matty Palin and those guys like were like confused on what to call. Like I noticed that a few times. But my question actually is, one of my critiques was just, and I'm a traditionalist at heart. I played close defense. It's so fast. Is there strategy? Like, is there like an offensive like game plan, defensive game plan? Because it kind of seems like you start one way, then all of a sudden it becomes so much chaos that you're just running out there and just playing. You're just balling.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a game plan, you have sets that you want to get into, and the teams that are the most successful are the ones that stick to that the most, honestly. And through all the chaos, it's tough to get into your sets, and it's tough to get on the same page with guys running off the field. You're with you try to stick to lines out there, but it's really hard to do that when you got guys that may get stuck on for a shift because they run in transition or they're running transition the other way, and you got to get back in the hole. So it's really key to the game at the end of the day is what team is able to stick to their game plan the most and not let the kind of chaos of the game get to them, because it is so chaotic. And I think it's so fast paced that the refs, like you said, they're adjusting as well. They're trying to figure it out, and it's a new format. They've been doing this for 3-4 years now, but they do this once a year, maybe twice if they do something with the international game as well. So everyone's out there adjusting, but yeah, it's so chaotic. You never know what's going to happen, and just try and get out there. And when you have a matchup, take it to the cage. Sometimes that's the best play you have in your back pocket at the end of the day.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hayden.
I just had one question. Like, we've been talking about like the Olympics and USA Canada. Last week we talked about it a little bit, and obviously Sixes is going to be in the 2028 Olympics. Is that, one, is that something that you're striving towards? And I guess secondly, like, is that like, does that add to the competitiveness of it? Guys going out there and almost trying out for Team USA, not trying out, but like making their case as to why they should be on it. Like, is that playing a factor in this?
I mean, I think so for everyone out there. I think, at the end of the day, for lacrosse to be in the Olympics, there's the World Games and then the Olympics, which are kind of the pinnacle of the sport. And the opportunity to do that would be such a cool experience for anyone. And so I think everyone who, is competitive has that kind of in the back of their mind, is like, hey, if I can play well here, maybe I'll show out to the coaches and put myself in a spot to get on the roster. So yeah, absolutely. And I think it's definitely adding to the competitiveness of the tournament in general right now. I think there are a bunch of guys out there who are definitely in the running for that. And so if you can have a good tournament and maybe you're not in the running right now, you have a huge tournament, you can put yourself in a position to make the training camp roster, whatever it ends up being with the team. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's huge for the sport to be in the Olympics. I think it's going to get a lot of notoriety because of that. Everyone's trying to put their best forward in this tournament because they want to be a part of that at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're definitely not Sixes haters. I became a fan after this Olympics because I just got excited for lacrosse to be in the Olympics. But I do think it's important as journalists. The Roman Senate or
the Roman Senate is the.
We're trying to quote Larkin Kemp, but he's a Brown guy, so
yeah, we're not Ivy League.
The Roman Senate is the
pinnacle or the purpose of journalism, something like that. It. Well, anyways,
we'll have a content guy. He'll pull it.
We're trying to be critical of the game because we do want to see it be successful. In your opinion, if you're making the rules, or I don't know, is there anything you don't like about it? Is there anything you might change or any ideas that you have?
It's hard. I mean, I know why they made Sixes the way it is. They wanted to get as many countries to participate in the Olympics as possible. I think it's worth kind of changing the game to get onto that platform of the Olympics. I certainly think there are things that will change over time. I don't know if it'll be before the Olympics, but if this continues going forward, I think there'll obviously be rule changes that happen. But it's hard right now. Like, one thing that's tough is like when you clear the ball and it's, you get your 2 feet over the line and you get pushed right over the line. It doesn't matter, if there's 25 seconds on the clock or 10 seconds on the shot clock. There's over and back right away. It's kind of like basketball. And that's a huge adjustment from, the college game especially, but then even the PLL where, in college, if it's over 60, you can go back and forth as much as you want. So it's really different. I think there will be small changes like that may happen prior to the Olympics, but it's a work in progress, right? And, I think total work in progress. At the end of the day, it's what's best for the sport right now, but we'll see how it progresses over time.
Yeah. At the next board meeting, we were talking about it before you came on. The end line's too far back. That was me and Mike's opinion.
A good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, no one really uses X that much, right? And to have it be like whatever it is, 10 yards behind the cage, probably don't need that much space behind there. Keep it tighter, make people, kind of go back there and play guys earlier because basically the mindset is if someone goes behind there, like you're just letting them go hang out back there, waste the shot clock.
Yeah,
so that's a good one. That's definitely a good one.
Wow, we might have just played a part in the history of sixes right here in College Across Game Day with Zach Gettys.
Yep.
Thanks, man. All right, let's get into our Week 5 slate. It's a good one. Tough to follow up last week's slate, honestly. There were just so many huge games. We explained we were out and about in Austin, Texas, so a lot of highlight watching for us. We did watch a lot of lacrosse. There was a lot of good games Friday. Sunday had some good matchups, too, so we were able to catch up.
It's the first thing we did when we got to the Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
Was log into ESPN.
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah, you're damn right it was. So it was, didn't see every second, but saw enough. Zach, are you playing Pick 'em, powered by East Coast Dies? You could say no. It's okay.
I think I'm playing it now, right? I got to get on there at this point.
Yes.
I haven't played before, but now I'm in.
Great answer. It's very easy. We're going to play it together right now by going through these games and making picks. So Pick 'em, powered by East Coast Dies. To pick the correct winner is 5 points. To pick the correct winner against the spread is 10 points. We're going to have 10 games on a weekly basis. You get 25 bonus points if you get all the winners right. So the maximum points you can get is 195. We have over 16, close to 2,000 users at this point who are on there, which is awesome. Derek Madonna's in first place. He's a Hobart alum. He's the first place leader right now globally. I'm 18th. I dropped down from 4 down to 18, which is all right. We keep battling. But these are only going to get tougher to pick because the games are getting more competitive. We're about to go to conference play, which is, anything can happen once conference play begins. But we got 10 games. First one, we're going to you, Zach. I feel like this is fitting. We got Georgetown at Richmond. Richmond's a 2-goal favorite. Who do you got to win the game and who do you got against the spread?
I mean, this is an easy one for me. I'm biased here. Obviously, Georgetown alum. I was at the game last weekend against Ohio State. It was a tough one. I know the team's got a big chip on their shoulder coming into this. Ty Banks, Anderson Moore, looking for those guys to step up. The one thing with Georgetown, I think, is they got to figure out who kind of their alpha is going to be, right, on the offensive end. They got to figure out who that guy is going to be that's going to draw slides for them consistently, get other guys involved, get other guys open too. Jack Bickle, the freshman, was kind of playing that role last week. Super athletic midi, but we'll see. I mean, they really need to turn around the season. It's been a tough one so far as a Georgetown faithful. It's been a tough couple weeks here. So I got to go Georgetown definitely to win the game. I'm going to take them on the spread too. I think they go into Richmond and get it done and, kind of turn the season around a little bit here. We got 2 weeks against Richmond and then Cuse the next week where I think if they win those games, they're right back where they want to be and, in a spot to be back in the top 10 and, hopefully going into Big East play in a good spot where they can run the table and, do what they've done the last, handful of years here too.
Well said. Yeah, the path is there, and a lot of promise for Richmond, a lot of praise from them, from a lot of us, and Michael's dad specifically. They're his preseason national championship pick.
I mean, I will say about Richmond, they have a great squad this year, and I think a couple of guys, the Aiden O'Neill kid has been really strong for them. They have this midi too. I think he's a sophomore, Daniel Picard. He's super underrated. I think really athletic kid. Friend of mine's little brother played football with him growing up and was one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen in high school football. So I think he's due for, he's been having a good year, but I think he's going to continue to have success and a name to watch out for just going forward in the future too.
Wow. Yeah. We're hoping you said Gavin Creo there. He was in the show earlier, but we'll take as many names as we can get.
He's good too.
I tell you, we had a good editing guy. We'll throw his name in there.
All right, next game. We got Yale at Fairfield. No spread available yet, Mike. This one's going to you.
I'm going to take Yale to win, and this is a toss-up. I would say it's like -1.5 Yale, and I'm going to take it. Again, I think it's a toss-up. It's a Connecticut battle. Yale's won the last 4 against Fairfield. Fairfield had a solid win over Providence recently, and Yale just got absolutely curb stomped by Penn State this past weekend, which was not a good showing. But I can't see Fairfield beating Yale. I just can't picture it yet. I know Yale had a bad year last year. I know they're not playing terrific this year, but again, I'm going to go with consistency. They won their last 4. They're going to win their 5th in a row and beat Fairfield.
Yeah, I put it on here because this is finally a game, and I think if Fairfield did win, they've won some big games, but I think that's their biggest win since this little comeback they've had in the last couple of years.
It would be.
Hayden, going to you now. Brown at UNC. This game's at 1:00 on Saturday. The Tar Heels are a 7-goal favorite.
Yeah, this is a good game. I like Brown. I think they're underrated. I know they just lost to UMass, but I think they're better than they've looked the past couple weeks. And then UNC, I still like UNC. They're still a top 5 team in my opinion, but I think they're really heavy on Duffy and Petromall. We kind of knew that going into the season, but when I look at UNC, one of the biggest things I see is just their size. They're not as big as they usually are. They don't have the Connor McCarthy. They don't have the Will Bowen. They don't have these monsters on the field that you're typically seeing with a UNC team. And then on top of that, I think they rely on Duffy and Petromall a little too much. And I think they're going to get away with it against a team like Brown. But when they go into ACC play, I think it's going to hurt them a little bit. I think they have a young midfield. They have a bunch of freshmen playing. They're great players, but they're a little top heavy with those 2 guys. So I like UNC winning this game. 7's a tough spread. I'm going to take Brown to cover. I think we're a pro Brown podcast here, so we'll have them cover, but I think UNC wins this game.
Love it. I agree too. Going back to you, Zach, we got Cornell at Penn State. Big Reds, a 1.5-goal favorite. This one's at Saturday at 1:00.
A good little start to the season here. They drop one against a tough one for them. They have a really good squad. Big win against Princeton earlier in the year, but I can't go against the national champs, the defending champs here. Ryan Goldstein, Willem Firth, they're having great years. I think the tough thing for them is they got to find that next guy, whoever it's going to be. It's Willem and Goldie are definitely leading the squad right now, but they got to find who that third guy is going to be on offense to step up if they're going to go deep. But I'll take Cornell. Both with the spread and to win the game as well.
Yeah, I like Rowan Nuri for Cornell, freshman. I think he went to Loomis, but he's a stud. He didn't play against Richmond. He was in a boot, so he's going to be a guy to watch this year and in the coming years.
That would be a huge win. Tambroni playing his old team.
Yep.
Mike, going to you. Syracuse, 2-goal favorite at Hopkins. This is just as classic as it gets. 1:00 on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good game at all. I think Cuse is going to absolutely smack Hopkins. Me and Dan specifically have not been high on Hopkins this year, still are not.
Hey. That was impressive. They was going to mention it. They had an impressive comeback against UVA. And that shows a lot about your team. It does. And they have the talent, sure. Saying that UVA is not a great team this year, at least they haven't been yet. That's a rivalry game, too. You expect dramatic stuff like that to happen. You just do. Sure. Just like a Hobart Cornell, right? Yeah, down to the wire.
But I just think that Cuse had a little bit of a rough stretch, but their schedule is awesome. They have a great schedule. They have a tough one. And that bounce back OT win over Penn, they're gonna bounce back even better here. They're gonna smack Hopkins, and I think the recipe to stop Hopkins is pretty simple. Don't let Chavette take open shots. He had 6 goals against UVA. If you leave him free, he's going to score if he gets the ball. He has a great shot. And then put your best pull on Collison up top. He's the initiator. If you stop those 2, Hopkins' offense isn't going to really do much. And I think Hugh's defense has been excellent this year. So I think it's going to be a blowout.
Strong take. I like it. Hayden, big one. Notre Dame at Ohio State, 2:00.
Yeah, this is a tough game. I think a lot of people are going to take Notre Dame -2.5. I think everybody likes Notre Dame, and Ohio State kind of played a soft schedule until they played Georgetown last week, and that was a great win for them. Like, Georgetown is legit this year. Going into the season, they were preseason top 5, and for good reason. Like, Zach, I think you mentioned it. Like, they might be struggling a little bit to find their guy, but that's still a good team. Top to bottom, it's a good team. And the fact that Ohio State won that game kind of gives me some hope for the Buckeyes. I really like Garrett Haas. They're good defensively, and I think maybe there is some legitimacy to playing some of these easy teams and figuring out what your identity is before getting into a gauntlet. And they have a gauntlet coming up after Notre Dame too. So I think Ohio State's going to play them close. I think Notre Dame's in the same boat where, like, they're still trying to find their identity a little bit, like tons of studs all over the field. But again, like, they don't have that guy on offense right now. This is going to be a great game, but I kind of like Ohio State in this one. I think Notre Dame's due for a loss. I think Ohio State's playing high right now. They're playing well, and I think they're going to win this game and obviously cover.
No.
You don't like that?
No.
It's okay.
It's a hot take for sure. It's definitely
I mean, it is, but that's how you got to win this pick 'em. You can't just pick all the favorites.
Yep.
It never happens like that.
So is Ohio State 7-0 right now? Or are they 7-0?
6-0, 5-0.
They're 6-0.
I think they're 7-0.
No, they're 6-0.
Tomato cans. They've played tomato cans.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
But they've kind of run through them a little bit.
Not Georgetown.
Not Georgetown. I was
Undefeated.
about to say.
Yeah, sorry.
That's a really good one.
I mean, they sit on the ball. They're a slow-paced team, but they got the goalie on the back end to do that, right? I mean, Georgetown last week, he just got hit with a bunch of shots at the end of the day. I mean, he made some great saves. I mean, I don't hate the take. I think Notre Dame's playing really well, but way to throw one out there. I think it's worth it.
I mean, you have to stir the pot a little bit.
The last question about Georgetown. Swamp Dogs. Did you guys call yourself the Swamp Dogs?
Oh yeah, Swamp Dogs. That's it. That's Quint Kesnick right there. He coined the Swamp Dogs. We went all in on it when I was there. We had like Swamp Dogs gear, everything. We're not living up to it this year, but I think I got faith that we're going to turn it around. We can call ourselves the Swamp Dogs again. Be a little bit more gritty out there.
That's pretty cool.
Quint did say he came up with that, so it's good to hear. It's good to hear you back
Yeah,
on that.
we got a story.
Wait, where'd it come from? Did he like say that on a broadcast one time or something?
He just started using it all the time. I mean, DC's the Swamp. People around there call it the Swamp, and so he just Quinn has those kind of terms that he comes up with and throws it out there. Not all of them stick, but Swamp for sure.
That's a good one.
It's probably word for word what he said. He's like, I come up with so much stuff. He's like, what happens between Friday and Sunday just gets wiped from the memory. But he said that one stuck. So
one thing, I don't know if he coined it, if it was a Quint one, but Hobart's nickname was the Fish Throwers. I don't know if that was Quint. Mike, I don't know if you have any clue if that was Quint, but essentially they threw fish at the opposing coach. So, like in the 80s or something when they were winning all those national championships. So they became the Fish Throwers, which is, I think it's pretty cool.
Where they head down to the lake,
You can make a good
start
shirt.
drinking some Rolling Rock, and
the
threw
lake.
a couple reels
Y'all
out.
some trout at away buses coming in Geneva.
That's right. It's the lake trout capital of the world. Geneva, New York, the Fish Throwers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next game. We're going to use Zach. Some Patriot League action. BU at Lehigh, 2:30 on Saturday. Lehigh coming off a shocking loss, but I still think this is going to be a good contest.
You guys are getting me in trouble with these picks here. My sister's a Terrier, plays for the women's team. Jack Rowlett, one of my old coaches at Georgetown, defensive coordinator on the team. I'm going to give him a little bit of something to, some motivation here. I'm going to go Lehigh to win the game. I'm going to go Lehigh on the spread. Going against, my family here with my sister on the women's team. And I know Rowlett actually might show up. He lives in Boston here. He might show up in my apartment when this drops and, knock down on my door. But hopefully they take it, have a chip on their shoulder going in and can pull off a W. But I think, I'm going to go with my gut here with Lehigh.
All right.
I love that. You'd have to get a video for how that comes in. I'd be scared if he had a 6-foot pole. Jeez.
You just see a butt end come through the front of the door. He's like, "Here's Jackie." Goodness.
Oh, I love it. Great pick. I love it. I love drama. That's why we do this. Mike, you got the next one. Michigan's playing another neutral site game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Michigan is the freaking Alabama of college lacrosse. Harvard is going to play against Michigan in Houston, Texas. It's 3:00 on Saturday. Harvard's a 4.5 goal favorite.
I'm gonna take Harvard to win, but I am also gonna take Michigan to cover the 4.5. I don't like the 4.5. If it was 3.5, maybe I'd take it. I think it's gonna be in that range, but I'm gonna lean on the side of Michigan covering. Michigan hasn't shown anything that they're a good team. They really haven't. You know, they've lost 3 in a row. They're coming off a subpar season last year where they lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. They were 7-7. Hayden's mentioned it multiple times. They seem like they have a lot of young talent, like young pieces. They haven't really pieced it together yet. I do think Harvard is a good team, but Harvard's 4-0. They had that big win over Cuse 2 weeks ago. They're riding a high right now. They might overlook Michigan, even though it's the maize and blue. It's the big logo. Like, you don't overlook those teams usually, but they might a little bit. I think they're going to cover. Michigan's tough. They're well coached, even though they haven't shown it yet this year. So I do think Michigan covers. That would be my take in that game.
I like it. I should have said the Globetrotters for Michigan because they travel and play in Georgia. Now they're playing in Texas, and it's just Michigan.
It's going to be hot as hell over there.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to be a shock, especially for the
Muggy.
Harvard guys who've been freezing their nuts off over here.
Yep. Hayden, I put this on the list because I think it's a hot seat game. I'd like to hear if you agree. But Towson at Virginia. This one's at 6:00 on Saturday.
Yeah, two programs that have been struggling a little bit. Towson just lost to Loyola by a couple hours ago, which isn't great for them. Like, Towson came in top 20. I think they were even top 12 or something coming into the season, and I don't know. They've just kind of had some bad games, and I don't really know what's happening there, but they really haven't lived up to the hype. Virginia is a little bit of the same story. They don't have great wins. Like, they've struggled against Hopkins and Richmond, but I think those are 2 good losses. I like Virginia where they are right now. I think that win against High Point last week was good for them. I don't know. I think Virginia is going to come alive a little bit. I know they've been getting a lot of heat, and they've kind of just been taking the butt end of a lot of jokes, but I think they're a really solid team. I think they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to piece their guys together. I like Virginia winning this game. I think it's going to be like a little bit of a revival game for them. I don't know what the spread is, but I just don't see Towson winning this game. I think there's too much pressure, too much on the line for Virginia, and they're going to be ready to go against Towson.
How many do they win by?
5.
5. I think
probably 3.5, maybe.
4.5, 5.5, something like that. Yeah,
4.5.
We'll see. Virginia's good, man. They're gonna if they beat Hopkins, and I don't really know what happened in that game. That was a pretty unbelievable loss. If they beat Hopkins, they'd probably be a top 12 team ranked right now.
Yeah. All right, last game. Going to you, Zach. This is a Sunday matinee. We got Pennsylvania at Villanova, Sunday noon.
Pennsylvania matchup here, right? I got to go with the Quakers. One, I got a couple of reasons. First is I love Skane and Provost. Their games are, a couple big guys that are pretty electric on offense. They brought Cuse to, the absolute wire on what was that, Sunday, and I thought they should have won that game. Couple of mistakes at the end. And my roommate Nate Miller, I'll give him a shout out here. He's a Penn guy. If I go against the Quakers, my locks might change this weekend. When I get back from the Champ Series, I might be kicked out of my apartment too. So I'm going to go with the Quakers to win and cover. They got a rebound after that Cuse game. And, I think they have a solid team. Coach Ray's got them moving in the right direction. I think they're a little underrated going into the year, but they have a ton of talent on that team. And I think they get it done against Nova.
Yeah, 2 tight games, too. I know they just had their ACC doubleheader weekend. They were competitive in both those contests. I mean, shoot, they win one of those games, and we're praising Coach Ray and talking about them as a top 10 team right now. But
I mean, I think you still can. The difference between this year and last year is pretty crazy for Penn. They're playing at a much higher level. they just look better coached. They look better organized. I like Penn. I think they're going to make a pretty good little push in the Ivy League.
Yeah. Well, Zach, thank you so much, man. I knew you were an absolute nail gun just from watching you play lacrosse. I didn't realize you were this sophisticated, intelligent, well-spoken when it comes to specifically lacrosse. I'm sure you're great at your job. You fit the bill, but do you watch a lot of lax? This seemed like it was second nature for you.
I may have a little bit too much time on my hands in between PLL weekends watching some lax, but yeah, love the game, love watching. It's nice when on a Saturday you got nothing to do, can sit down, watch some of the games with your boys, and I'm lucky enough to have some of my friends who didn't play who are into it and willing to sit down and let me nerd out a little bit on lacrosse and watch the game. So yeah, it's just fun, and it's a great year for college lax too. I think a lot of parity out there. We need that for the programs just in general. It's been too long, and I'm dialed in this year. So, thanks for having me on, guys. It was a ton of fun, and hopefully can do it again at some point.
Of course, man. We got to get some beers soon. I think we'd have or even just hang out in a living room with full
Is there
TVs.
like do you have a bar that you go to watch games ever? Like, or is it just like your buddies come over and do the normal thing?
No,
'Cause we haven't found that location.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you guys. I can't get anywhere to turn on ESPN Plus. I don't think there's any bar that is willing to do that. I don't know if you guys saw the news, devastating news that happened this week with Stats. I thought that might have been on a dead weekend, maybe the place that would do it, but it's closing down at the end of the month. That's trouble.
What do they do? Are they doing like a revitalization or something?
I don't know. I
know a lot of those Southie bars are doing that.
Yeah, I saw an
Really? Like a facelift.
closing permanently, so that's devastating for the town
Jesus.
in general. I mean, that was a go-to spot for any games, but if you guys find one, please let me know, because I'm trying to figure that out myself. I've been here for 3 years now and still haven't found my go-to bar. But I know the Georgetown guys in New York go to Blue Haven in West Village. That's been a huge hot spot, and I think this weekend actually both the Richmond guys and Georgetown guys are going to Blue Haven and West Village to watch the game. Have different areas rented out at the bar, so that should be interesting.
Nice.
We may see some content come out of Blue Haven this weekend.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think we should literally just get a fire stick and just when no one's looking, just stick it into the side of the TV and just log on.
Up. Yeah, we had a friend who literally Uber. I'm not making this up. He was at Bayard's in New York City. New York City listeners, you probably have heard of that place. Zach's heard of it.
Yep, been there many times.
Yes. He so they were in that little outside deck area. They had a table. He Uber Eats a TV, a Roku TV. They plugged it into the wall, connected to the Wi-Fi, and logged into ESPN Plus. And they watched, I forget what the game was, but I'm not making that up. They literally Uber Eats the TV, plugged it into the wall, signed in. They had the whole bar watching it by the end of the game. But then afterwards, they took it outside and smashed it on the sidewalk.
Literally, it's just Gronk spiked it
After
he was done with it.
Just to give you some hope, I was just down in Alexandria, as I mentioned. I was at the PLL Champ Series at a bar called Augie's Sick Bar in Alexandria, Virginia, and I was able to log on to my ESPN account and watch the Richmond Cornell game at a bar outside. So there's hope, fellas. You will find a bar. I was able to do it, and I probably would be able to do it if I went back down this weekend. So there's hope out there.
Southern hospitality,
Yeah.
doesn't exist in Boston.
Hey, it's supply and demand. It's on the Lax Rat to make that happen. Zach, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate this. You're welcome anytime back on the show. We'll connect soon for drinks and nerd out on Lax and sign into some accounts and see what we can get on at a bar sometime soon.
Sounds good to me. I'm in anytime. I don't know if I can go with the Roku TV. That might be a little much, but we can definitely figure out a bar at some point to watch. Definitely grab drinks at some point. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course,
Thanks,
man.
Zach.
Love it. Best of luck in the Champ Series. We're going to be watching every moment. Thank you to Zach Gettys. Great interview. We'll be connecting with him very shortly. I had no idea he was in Boston. Maybe I should have looked that up beforehand. I mean, he's either in Boston, New York, or D.C.
Yeah.
So
I would have thought DC 100%.
yeah, or New York. He's got it together.
Yeah.
He's a New York City guy by all means. That was fun. Some editorial comments that I think are important for our listeners who've been following along, playing CLG Pick Em powered by East Coast Dyes. Brett, I'll let you take it away.
I'd expect some new feature releases I think there's some opportunities for us to just show you guys scores and schedules. We'll be sending some emails around so we can keep you updated on what's new in the app to keep you guys around and using it. We're about 1,700 people currently using it. Another, couple areas that we're working on, and if you go to the top of your Pick 'em and into your profile, you have been identified as a power picker, meaning you've been around since week 0. You're picking consistently. Your points are above a certain threshold. So we have the top 250 power pickers. Thanks for the power pickers.
Power picker. Are you a power picker, Hayden?
I am?
No. If you said a pick, I'd run right through your face.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't.
I was great at that.
Setting picks?
Yep.
I am a power picker, though, on the CLG app.
No, you're not.
Who's the best picker in college lacrosse? Who's the best picker you've ever seen?
Mike, you're a pretty good picker.
In college cross?
Yeah.
Terrible.
No, who's the best at setting picks? If you could have one guy set you a pick.
I was terrible at getting around picks. Terrible.
Really? That surprises me. I feel like you just run through the guy.
Yeah, that's not a good
Jeff
thing.
Teat. He's a little concerned about Jeff Teat and friggin', I don't know, you name it.
Best picker. That's an unsung hero right there, because I couldn't name you too many guys who were setting picks.
It's got to be Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never said
Ian
McKay. Ian McKay. He's a big frame.
Chris Cloutier.
Zach Gettys.
He'd be a good picker.
Ryan Tarafanko.
Ryan Tarafanko.
Yeah, it's food for thought.
Gary Gate.
Who's the best picker?
You ever set a pick with your back? Like someone, you set it behind the back pick? Someone runs in your back?
Yeah. Well, you run a double pick?
Yeah. So you,
front to back?
Yeah, you set it normal and then step back, and then it hits you. And then you can roll so easily because you're already facing away from the guy. You don't have to turn.
It's been done before.
Yeah.
Shark.
Sorry about that. Thanks all. Enjoy the games.